first let us say to you that what you're thinking and feeling, in other words, that grid that you've got going on, your point of attraction is sort of the consensus of how you're feeling. So what you're thinking and feeling and what manifests is always a match. And what manifests in your dream state is always a match too. So let your manifestation be your indication of what you're doing vibrationally, because trying to monitor your thoughts is a sort of tedious thing, where if you're just free flowing and then you're being aware, there are only two ways to know what you're creating. One is by the way you feel, and the other is by what manifests. And we think that the dreamscape is a really nice intermediary because it's showing you what you're creating. It's giving you an indication. And long after the dream, you're still feeling the exuberance because the dream was fleshed out in more detail. So if you are just generally happy, you don't even have to identify why you are. In fact, you don't even have to really call it happy. It just can't be unhappy. That's why meditation is such a good thing. When you meditate, you stop thought. When you stop thought, you stop resistance. So anything that holds the resistance into a place where it is not active in your vibration lets your vibration raise. So as your vibration is raised and you are in that sleep state, now the vibration that matches that is going to happen. It happens in wake state too. So what we are getting at is when you are general, not specific, but general and feeling good, it's a very perfect platform for you to begin attracting things that match that. And this is one of the most important things that we want to flesh out. The specifics of what you want will fill in. What goes wrong with so many of our physical friends who are wanting to be deliberate creators is that you try to be more specific than your vibration allows. So when you get specific about something you want, and that thing that you want hasn't happened yet, in your attempt at being specific, you just remind yourself that what you want hasn't happened, and you add clutter and confusion to your vibration. Wouldn't it be nice to just be so blissfully general that your point of attraction is allowing anything and everything that you've already deliberately carved out that's in your vortex to flow into your experience just like water flows downhill at the perfect time, in the perfect order, in the perfect sequence to keep you living happily ever after for the rest of your life experience? What about that? You have the potential for that, you see. We have to say that anything that you want, if this time-space reality has the wherewithal to inspire it, this time-space reality has the wherewithal to deliver it. It really is just a matter of you finding the vibrational altitude. You will never hear us say that all things are not possible, but you will hear us say that you came into this experience with understanding of what is going on here and with understanding of the value of what is here. In other words, you're supposed to feel supported by the energy that creates world, adored by the non-physical consciousness that is aware of you, and empowered by the opportunity to express it in the way that you want to here and now. In other words, it just doesn't get any better than this. You are leading edge creators in the most sublime environment that has ever existed for those who are creators like you. We're talking about this planet and this time and this awareness and what you know. Your conscious awareness of the law of attraction and your conscious awareness of your ability to focus. That puts you in the driver's seat, not to create anything you want in terms of things, but to create any state of being that you want to create. And more important, to create any state of being that you want to create consistently, chronically, you see. We want your life to not just be these moments that you carved out that are extra good. We want your life to be day by day, conversation by conversation, thought by thought, experience by experience. We want you to never come down from this high of knowing who you are and feeling your worthiness and your power, you see. Once you strike a vibrational pose and you have established it for a little while, then thoughts that match it on a variety of topics will begin flowing to you. And then you can select from among them like you do from any food buffet. You're going to discover some of that, and a lot of it is going to be pleasing to you. And there's going to be more for you to choose from than you have the capacity to experience. If you just pick something that's pleasing and you let go of what you're feeling a little bit of, oh, I've got to make the best decision because the universe has queued this up, and what if I choose something that's slightly less good? You've already established the grid, and what's filling in is going to be in the vibrational vicinity. So just make your best choice from what's coming, or take a nap, or meditate, or if you can, make a list of positive aspects. Let's back up just a little bit and make sure that you understand this completely, because we talk about who you are before you were born, but that part of you still exists. And when you make your reemergence into non-physical, you just join that again. But as you've been here in this physical experience, everything that you've begun, everything that beginning isn't even the right word, everything that you've carried on with, everything that you've contributed to here in this physical form, you still are that when you reemerge into non-physical. And your interest in all of that is still very keen. So when you have the opportunity to, and you do constantly, to give your attention to anything that has anything to do with anything that you are interested about, there is no separation. In other words, consciousness has no limitation, you see. So when you have reemerged in non-physical and you are still interested in what's going on, those people who are interested in what you are interested in, there's still this collaboration that is going on. Esther's getting letters from people all over the planet who are having those significant moments with Jerry, where they are knowing for sure. A lot of people are waking up at 111, 222, 333, 444, 555. There have been a few letters that say, hey, Jerry, give it a rest, because they associate that with him because he liked that. But there is no separation between what is physical and non-physical. Death is a misunderstanding that humans have concocted because, oh, you're really going to like this, because most humans are not very good at translating subtle vibration. Manifestations are more specific. Would you agree? When something manifests, when someone walks in the room, whether you like them or not, whether you invited them or not, whether you wanted them to be there or not, when they walk into the room, you're probably going to observe them because you have the ability to observe through your physical senses. Your physical senses, let's put it this way, your physical senses, for the most part, are being used by most of you to interpret things that are not that subtle. Your emotional sensors are the way that you interpret those things that are more subtle. Esther, as she began meditating all those years ago, discovered, without knowing what was happening, that she could tune herself to the frequency of that which is us simply by tuning herself away from any frequency that was distracting. And as she did it so consistently, and Jerry too, the two of them were a powerful point of attraction, there was then the ability to interpret this more subtle vibration. In other words, we're available to everyone, but everyone is not in the frequency where they can begin to receive it. So Esther was delighted to discover that because she had been already interpreting the vibration of Abraham all of those years, it was not a difficult thing for her to receive Jerry in the same way. But she could not be in the mode of missing him and getting him at the same time. In other words, if she's missing him, she doesn't have access to him because it's the absence of him that is in her vibration, you see. So he sneaks up on her in her happiest of moments. He'll sneak up on all of you, if you will allow him, in your happiest of moments, you see, in your most insightful moments, because make no mistake about it, he is still infinitely interested in the evolution of this message here in this time-space reality. He's right there with every new thought, you see, and enjoying plenty of the old ones too. You must understand that there is no separation, that this is a vibrational universe. And once you understand that, and then you begin training yourself to the more subtle vibration, you have access to all of that wonderful non-physical energy. There are people who get into a state, and because their vibrational point of attraction, their grid is such, they receive ornery conversations because every thought that has ever been thought still exists. And it may be that, you see, here's what it is. Once you learn a language, you could go to a bookstore or a library and pick up any book and read it. But just because you have the ability to read the words and understand what their meaning is, does not mean that you are necessarily a vibrational match to the book that you are reading. It could be a really discouraging, disturbing book, or it could be a really uplifting, inspiring book. But just because you have the ability to read it doesn't mean that you're going to like it when you read it. So when you begin to translate vibration subtly, You can translate the vibration of something that feels good to you, or you can translate the vibration of something that doesn't. In other words, your point of attraction will bring you what is matching you. And it's a little bit, this is going to be a sort of subtle analogy, but you will hear it clearly because it's on a subject that is important to you. Sometimes a person will want a relationship. They will have a very strong desire for a relationship. And through their life experience, they've been putting a lot of details into their vortex. In other words, they know how they want this person to be, how they want this person to feel, how they want this person to look, how they want this person to be living their life. They've lived enough life that they have been very specific about what they are wanting. But they're not yet a vibrational match to what they want. And so relationships aren't coming, and they're wondering, why is the universe not just bringing me someone? And we say, because you've been very specific about the someone that you want. And because that's a very strong intention, the universe is just not going to deliver to you something less than what you want. So that's what's going on. Most people believe that the system's out there and that they have to find some way of contouring themselves to fit into the system. But what we're teaching is that you are the center of the universe and that what you establish vibrationally will evolve around you. On the guidelines that you signed when you came, there's another piece that we're going to ask Esther to get into the clause that you sign. And it goes like this. You can't go back. You know too much. Because once you find out that you are the vibrational center of your universe, then you will never again be happy with somebody else calling the shots. But it doesn't mean you can't be a cooperative component. It doesn't mean that you've got to be a holdout. It means that there's plenty in your vortex and that it is evolving. And everything is in flux with all of that right now. No one really knows what's going on. And the beauty of it is there's no central management of it. And don't worry about your government getting in there and being the central manager of it because they're too confused. Don't worry about that. All you have to do is just on a regular basis, and we're talking about on a daily basis, make a list of the things about your life that you love the most and keep those things active in your vibration. And don't stretch. There's a tendency to say, well, I like this and I like this and I like this. And the reason that I'm doing this is because I want to like that and I want to like that and I want to like that. But that's stretching too far. That's getting more specific than you can be. So if you'll just focus upon the aspects that are central and easy for you to acknowledge, the things that you like so much about what you're doing, and there are so many of them. And as you focus upon that and let that be that, someone said, and they're right, that little bit of a general and therefore a little bit boring, but in our words, we're not going to use the word safe, but we're going to use the word stable vibrational platform. As you vibrate there where you're stable and sure, the details that are in your vortex will begin filling in and the ideas will begin to come and it will feel to you. Opportunities will begin presenting themselves to you and you will know when you see them the perfection of them, you see. Don't worry about it.